Good morning, everyone. Still sleepy? Good morning, one more time.
Good morning.
Nice. That sounds like an extended kickoff meeting now. All right. We have a phenomenal agenda. You have the agendas in front of you, I'm sure. We've been doing this event for the past 10 years associated with VMware around VMworld. Usually the Thursday after VMworld takes place. People know. Tarkan, you're used to this agenda. Very few breaks, lightning round questions, speed dating format. I know some of you guys love that. And a very great group of people from an agenda perspective, speaker perspective, both from large companies as well as many, many startups. We've done this now about 10 years, and the past year, we haven't done it. We had a reception talking about this event. And before I start about talking about the agenda, let me talk about the audience a little bit, because part of this event is not about the speeches and the content and the debate and the panels, but the audience networking throughout those short, brief networking sessions, also throughout the discussions at the tables. The map of the tables and the map of the audience is important for you so you can network well and get more value out of this event throughout the stay between now and 5 p.m. So the map of the audience, a little bit at high level for you. We have about 50% US and 50% international crowd, both from EMEA and Asia Pac and South America. Seek each other out, exchange cards. A lot of folks, investors, CIOs, partners, resellers, channel partners, also technology vendors outside the US is around the tables. Secondly, we have about 50-50 differentiation and delineation in the crowd between public sector and private sector. We have about 60% large Fortune 1000 type of companies and about 40% startups, many CEOs, many CIOs, and a few folks also down in the trenches actually making things happen, know the technology inside and out, and they're here as well. So it's a phenomenal crowd from that perspective as well. And from a company size, as I mentioned, you're going to have those Fortune 1000 type of companies and representation, as well as some amazing startup technology companies, both on the software front and hardware front. As far as the audience map goes and the agenda tying to that, when you have an imaginary line between applications we use every day, at home, at work, and on the go, versus the infrastructure enables that application suite on top, we have both software infrastructure folks in the room, as well as hardware infrastructure folks in the room. Also a few folks who are focused on the applications and application frameworks. So in that imaginary line, the themes, the content is going to follow the same kind of a format. A little bit of conversation about applications and business and innovation, and a lot of conversation about the infrastructure enabling those applications on top and the workloads on top. And that infrastructure is going to be around hardware. We're going to talk about that, and also software. Having said all that, people are asking me, OpenSDx, what the hell is that? So this is the Next Center OpenSDx Summit. OpenSDx to us is open innovation via open collaboration throughout these trends around software-defined everything. From the apps to the infrastructure, from the end user, all the way to the data center. We believe OpenSDx is the way to go to enable those workloads and the applications to run our businesses and our government agencies. Having said that, in the room, you're going to see a lot of folks also from the government side, state and local, federal, and obviously the audience kind of map to the agenda as well. As you can see the agenda in front of you, phenomenal presentations from the private sector, but as well as some great presenters from the public sector. So having said all that, we have in the agenda a tight schedule, as I mentioned earlier, and after the lunch session, we have a few other panels. On those panels, we're going to have 10 C-level executives in each. One is focused on the cloud and data center. The other one is more on the mobility and end-user computing. And we're going to finish today with a phenomenal presentation from CERN, ETH, with Dr. Günther de Sartori talking about the matter. And I'll tell you, I've seen this presentation before. I was blown away. And I thought everything I learned and everything I do every day is such a loser stuff. These people doing some amazing work, guys. And I strongly urge you not to miss that presentation, because you will not find that presentation anywhere else. So having said all this, a few topics before we get started with the first session. Just wanted to share our views a little bit from a Nexenta perspective, as we saw all these great announcements from VMware and other vendors today and in the past week. And all those things are happening around our industry. With some of the acquisitions just happened. Amazon just bought another network gaming platform, as you all heard, for almost $1 billion. And how social media and social commerce moving into and impacting mobility and mobile devices and Internet of Things. How big data is becoming now really big and a reality beyond just hype, with all those movements around social media, social commerce, mobility, and Internet of Things driving the big data. And at the end of the day, how cloud infrastructure is changing our lives from public to private to government clouds. So having said all this, we believe, and we heard, and we've been hearing, also with VMware and VMworld, with the big announcements they made, which Pat is going to talk about in a few moments, how software-defined data center and software-defined end user, in a sense, changing the world to make sure that cloud infrastructure is there to enable those trends around social media, mobility, Internet of Things, and big data. We believe it is impossible in a closed-only world to enable those infrastructures to support those workloads around those trends. And we believe that happens not only with the data center, but also with the end user. And we believe in that continuum, applications and workloads need to be tightly aligned with the infrastructure in an intelligent way. And that infrastructure obviously comes in terms of hardware and software. And again, we believe, based on the trends we're seeing in the marketplace, our customers want choice. I think Carl had a great slide, Carl Eschenbach had a great slide at VMworld, Power of End with Pat. And we totally believe in that. Open or close. Open and close. Private and public. We believe in those terms. We believe in these themes, and I know for a fact that you believe in these themes, and that's why you're here. And we're going to have a great combination of those companies, technologies, ideas, innovations here in this room discussed throughout the day, throughout those breakouts, panels, and speeches. And having said all that, a few numbers to prove our point of view. Today, the IT industry is about $3.7 trillion. According to Gartner, IDC, and many other groups are talking about these numbers. You can check them also with the reports that you're buying from those firms. Out of that $3.7 trillion, about $2.5 trillion is all services related, telecom and everything else. I know Andre from Wipro is, nodding yes. Most of it's services. It's a fact. And the rest, about $1.2 trillion, is divided between hardware, data center, and end user devices, and the software. As a matter of fact, the software is the smallest piece. It's less than $500 billion. And of that, software-defined data center today, according to some of the estimates, is about only $500 million. Very small industry, very small segment. But it's going to be nearly $10 billion in the next 5 years. It's growing almost 75% compounded annual growth rate, whereas the entire IT industry is growing only 2%. And actually, last year, it was flat. It's a big change. We believe this change is real. We believe companies like Nexenta, many startups in the software-defined data center world, bringing those components together and making those applications and workloads work. We are not those cool application guys. We are the plumbing guys and girls. And we'll make sure your applications, your life works. You're like that BASF commercial. You don't make that table and make it sturdier. They should use that. We don't make those applications. We make your life better. At home, at work, and on the go. So having said all this, we're going to have a phenomenal day today. I'm very excited. As you know, those orange shoot people around there with little fashion sense, but a lot of heart and a lot of passion, welcome you here. You like that, Madge? You're completely in orange. You're going Dutch. So having said all this, the day is fast-paced, very open, casual, open format, a lot of networking. And having said all this, with all humility, we don't believe we know everything, but we want to learn from each other. That's the spirit of this event.